Had a call with a business owner recently, and this call was around selling their business. Like many business owners, their plan was to work for 20, 30 years, sell their business and sell off to the sunset. But as we spoke and discussed their business, it became surprisingly clear to them that they weren't even close or in a position to sell their business. And they're not alone. Many business owners that are in business have a hard time getting to the point where they're actually ready to sell. Not because their business isn't valuable or because they don't have a good solid product or organization, but because they're not prepared. And today, I'm gonna share a couple facts with you about business sales. So feel free to go check those out on the internet, verify the numbers. But again, from my experience and what the data shows, selling a business isn't as easy as everyone thinks. It's a great opportunity for those that can do it, but it's not as easy as everyone thinks. So let's start with the first fact or the first stat. Again, check these online, speak to your friends, ask other owners that have exited what this process actually is. Only about 2 to 3 business owners out of 10 actually sell their business. What that means is about 70 to 80% of business owners never actually sell. But I would guess that the amount of people that want to sell is probably close to, 90 to 100%. So why don't business owners actually sell? Now, from my experience, what happens is most business owners create themselves a really fancy and expensive job. Not expensive, but a profitable job. They make good money, they control their schedule, they're good at what they do, but it's really just a glorified job that they own and have at a level of complexity. They don't actually peel themselves out to make sure the business can run without them. So that's one of the first big problems I see. The owner owns all the relationships. The owners are usually like the breadwinners. The owners are, driving sales and revenue, making business decisions. There's nobody else within their organization that actually does that. Now, in years of also consulting retirees, there's a time window. It's called the golden window, if I remember right. And it's 5 years before retirement and 5 years after retirement. Those years determine if your retirement will be successful, partly because of transitioning from working to non-working, and you're now pulling assets instead of building assets. Same thing with a business owner. You have a time window, and I would say it's probably more than 5 years. I would stretch it out to probably 7 years before you're looking to exit. You should be looking to put in place systems and processes to make sure your business runs with or without you. Because no buyer wants to come in and have all systems and processes in your head, because that's not any value to them. No buyer wants to come in and say, hey, look, the only person that can make sales or generate revenue or has relationships is the person that's leaving. Nobody wants to buy that business. So, if you're 7 years out from wanting to sell your business, which if I remember right, the numbers on that, let's say it's about 50% of people say they're about 10 years away from selling their business. I could be wrong there, so check it. But if you're 7 years out from selling your business, you really need to be looking at this and putting in systems and processes, and most importantly, people that can carry the business and continue to drive it forward. Now, this might be a hot take or something that you disagree with. That's fine. But I believe in transparency when it comes to business succession. Because if you're an owner and you're, let's say, 60 years old, people know you're on your way out. If you went to your team and you said, hey, look, I want to sell, they're going to look at you and say, yeah, duh, you're getting older. You don't want to do this forever. That's kind of just the way things work. So I believe in transparency. Now, not to be loose with it or foolish with it. Bringing in the right people and having the right team with you is very important. But once you identify those people that can continue to carry the business, continue to build it, then those are the ones that are going to sustain your business after you go. And I'm going to say that there should be some financial incentives for those people to stay around. Maybe it's equity in the company, maybe it's a partial sell. You can hit up, set them up with like growth metrics that need to be hit between the point of prepping to sell to actually selling, so there's a financial reward for them. But again, I believe in a transparency when it comes to your business and selling it. And if you've had a team that's helped grow your business, I think there's a benefit to looping them in, the right ones, and also providing some financial benefit to them as well. So again, if you're 7 to 10 years out from your business, wanting to sell your business, this is really a critical time. Now, if you're in, let's say your early 40s, mid 40s, running a business, and you're like, man, I'm going to run this for another 15 years, 20 years. It's just even more important to get these processes set up in place. Because ideally you have the process, the system in place, it's working, it's running like a well-oiled machine, and then you can just back out. You can either start another business venture, you can decrease your time at work, you can build up the company. Maybe you're not interested in doing the labor anymore or doing the work. You want to just run a company and build up people. So again, if you're 15, 20 years out from selling a business, now is also the great time to be prepped. So we go pull these arrows and we'll work on next step. Now, here's another thing I want to talk about. Before I get that, if you're shooting arrows, shoot them to foam targets. Take your little bar of soap, rub it on the ends of your arrows, not too much. It helps pull out of foam targets way easier. You can also mix a little bit of water and dish soap and put it in one of those letter sealers. So they have the little foam tip on top to help pull out. Gets a little bit of lubrication on there. So a little freebie for you today. Another thing too with business owners, and again, this conversation isn't specific to yesterday or the other day's conversation. This is a conversation I have quite often. Is business owners will come to me, very profitable business, they're running it, they're making money. But about 80%, again statistically, about 80% of their net worth is tied up in the value of the business. Now, depending on the business and how much it's worth and everything else, that 20% outside of your business could be pretty valuable. But when it comes to like having the value from your business and looking at that, the fact that most business owners, not everyone, most business owners only have assets outside of their business at about 20% of their net worth is kind of silly. I mean, think about it in the perspective of you as a business owner. If you only had a single customer or a single stream of revenue, how risky is that? Now, let's say you have 10 clients. They pay you every single year, and that's how you run your business. If 8 of those clients came from the same company, which at any point in time could drop you or could stop using your service, how risky is that? Having all your wealth concentrated in your business is quite risky, which I get it. In the growing years, you're trying to build it, you're trying to invest in your business, make it more profitable, grow, do everything like that. So I understand. But if you don't start setting money outside of your business, then you're always going to be in a position where your net worth is directly coincided with the value of your business. And again, not everybody gets that value out of their business. So I've made videos about this before, talked about it plenty of times. You need to start piecing out the wealth from your business into your personal account. You need to start taking how much the business makes, looking at the profitability, looking at your personal cash flow, your business cash flow, and piecing out that money. So that way it starts building a net worth outside of your business. And that can be done through, retirement planning. It can be done through, personal brokerage investing. I mean, it can be done through real estate, non-business real estate, stuff like that. But you need to start putting time and effort into not having your business so concentrated. Now, here's another thing that's pretty near and dear to my heart, just because of lived experience and watching it firsthand. If you own a family business, mom and dad started it, whoever may have started it, and you're looking to pass that on, this is where things get really complicated, because not only are you dealing with just employees, you're actually dealing with family members, kids, grandkids, stuff like that. And that gets really messy, because in the back of your head, you're worried about what is this going to do to Thanksgiving dinner? If the business is sold, will one of my kids be angry at me? Will they feel left out? But the biggest thing there, and my recommendation, or my food for thought at least, is you need to be treating your business like a business. Now, let's say you run a family business and you have 3 kids. 2 of them are actively involved. One of them has chosen to go a different route, which is totally cool. If you think that because they're family that they need to be involved in the business, that's a mistake. Because if they're not actively involved in the business, that's probably you retiring or selling the business doesn't mean they want to get involved. Unless they just hate your guts and wouldn't want to see you every day at work, and now that you'd be gone, they would enjoy being there. That might be the case, but probably not. But thinking about your business, even a family business like an actual business, the employees that take over need to provide value. So just because your son has always been, head of sales, if he's the worst salesman on the team, I don't think it makes much sense to reward him just because he's family. If you care about the longevity of our company, if you want to just pass it on and let them run it to the ground, do it. That's up to you, right? You build it up, you do what you want with it. The other thing too is I would always recommend on this is you treating a business, again, like a business, is structuring a sale proceeds so that the way kids have skin in the game. And there's so many ways that you can set this up and piece it out. I mean, you could sell it and then give the non-involved children a cut just as part of a legacy. You could give them a discount. You could do like an owner buyout, a bunch of different options that are available. But as a family business owner, and having seen what family businesses do, it unfortunately turns into like a little family piggy bank or a family cash cow. And that makes it hard at the exit time because now you're cutting off an income stream for that. I remember when our family business sold years ago, one of the family members, one of the kids to the owner, well, this would have been the 3rd generation, he lost the ability to essentially perform work at a very high payout. So the work he was doing and the pay he was receiving didn't match up. He wasn't getting normal market rate, he was getting beneficial family rates. And when the business sold and that, we'll call it side job, ended, his wife started to complain about how hard it is to pay bills and do what they want without the family business. So unfortunately what that did is the dad put his kid in a situation where he never really had to grow up. There was always the family business to fall back on and get money, which is pretty sad. So family business, treat it like a business. As hard as it may be, you need to think and understand what would be the best for the business longevity and how you want that structured. So don't let the family business bleed into, or the family relationships bleed into the business too much that it clouds your judgment on making real decisions. Now, are you going to give your kids preferential treatment? Probably. I would. But should it be to the point where you ultimately suffer or you can't afford the retirement that you always dreamed of, that you built? I don't think so. So when it comes to all this, the exit planning, the family business planning, all of that, first thing, you need to give yourself a timeline, a realistic timeline. If you want to be out in 3 to 5 years, you should have been probably doing something yesterday. If you want to be out in 10 to 15 years, now would be a great time to start. And even if you're 20 years out from a business, again, a great time to start to have process in place so that way your business can sell when you feel ready, not in a flash or something like that. Now, if you're looking for more content or more information about exit planning or how to structure a business or primarily peeling wealth outside your business in the most tax efficient way possible, the link is in the description below. Go ahead and reach out. Love to have a conversation with you, and we'll see you next time.